The Ashley and Erica show.
No, it should be the Erica and Ashley show. I'm older.
You gotta calm down just a little.
What's up, you guys? Like I'm Adrienne Holton. Hi, everyone. I'm Erica.
And I'm Ashley.
And we are the Wilkins sisters.
Like we're a singing group. Mary. All right, go ahead.
Whoa.
Sorry.
Well, I'm Erica then. You're Tina Campbell.
All
Anyway, we're here because, we are paying tribute to our mom today.
Wanda Lee Wilkins.
Today made 10 years that she passed away suddenly. And we just wanted to just pay tribute to her, just talk about how great of a woman she was. She was a real woman. And I think a lot of, from what we've seen and what we've been told, at least from me, a lot of women definitely looked up to her. Mm-hmm. And we had the wonderful fortune of being in the house with her. And we just wanted to just reminisce on some things. There's so many stories about our mom that we could talk about. We could be up here all day, but we're not going to. But we just wanted to just take some time and just remember her. I always post pictures of my mom. There was a picture that I posted where she was holding me as a baby and she just has that bottom pink lip. And I got so many responses about how much I look just like her. I do think I am the spitting image of my mother, but I think the older I get, my dad is definitely showing through me. But I still look like Wanda Lee like crazy.
Somebody told me that I look like mommy too.
I think Ashley looks like the younger version of mommy.
There's that picture that I have when she has the afro. I think to me that's like the only picture that I look exactly like mommy. Somebody was like, "Oh, I thought that was you. You look just like your mom." So to me, I feel like that's the only one. She was sitting at the table when Aunt Barbara and
yeah, I think I remember that picture.
Uncle, I think, or something like that.
I think our Uncle Philip posted it. He has a lot of pictures.
That's my guy.
My Uncle Philip is
Second.
Out of four. My mom, my Aunt Felicia, my Uncle Philip, and my Uncle Derek. Mm-hmm. Yeah, my mom's
He's the oldest boy. He's the oldest boy.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I love the story my mom tells when he jumped out the crib as a baby.
It's not about him right now.
And hit his head.
Sorry,
Anyway, but let my mother tell that story, and she was cracking up. Like, she was laughing like it just happened. And I know Philip watching this, and he probably cracking a big old grin on his face. But, yeah, she was just a great woman. Like I said, she was the oldest out of four, born in North Carolina. She was 52. She was 52. 51, sorry. My mom was 51 when she
probably
passed
turning
away.
52.
Yeah, turning 52, because her birthday is in October 22nd. And you know what's crazy? I don't know what it is. I don't know if the Lord's trying to tell me something. For some reason, I just always end up noticing 10:22 on the clock. Everywhere, all the time, no matter what time of day it is, day or night. It just so happens either I'm looking at my phone, my watch, or something, and I always see 10:22, and I just get a constant reminder of her. I just thought it was crazy. But yes, I remember growing up on Gulf Terrace in New Haven.
I remember that house, just a pinch.
Yes, I remember that house. We lived downstairs. My parents, not their first apartment, I think their apartment when I lived there. And they had this big old huge king size bed.
Oh, apartment? I don't remember that.
Yes, it was an apartment. We lived on the first floor.
I don't remember
Hampton. In New Haven, we lived on the first floor, Gulf Street, Gulf Terrace. That's the section we were in.
We used to go
and we lived on the first floor of my godparents' house. It was my godmother, Miss Jackie. And I just remember that house and that apartment, and it was so large to me. Like, it was so big. My parents had this huge king size bed, and my mom said I rolled off of it one day.
Erica.
But I didn't cry.
Until you looked at her.
Until she looked at me, and then I started bawling. But let my cousin Michael tell you, it was also the house where I never went to sleep.
No matter all the time.
What?
You peed all the time.
Why would you say that? I don't know nothing about that. I don't know anything about that. I was never told that story.
I wasn't born yet. Okay, good.
So how would you know?
Because I might go.
Anyway, I just didn't go to sleep at night. I don't go to sleep at night now, but apparently I would always cry or find any excuse to stay awake. But we lived there for 5 years, and then we moved to Hamden, and she was born
1990, November 13th. Don't forget it. I'm turning 30 this year. For all you who know me.
All right.
Cash App.
She came.
Ash Cash.
Hello.
DW. Don't forget the dollars.
Anyway, she came along. And we lived on 2nd Street in Hamden, which is right down the street from my grandparents' house. That house, we had a lot of great memories there. We lived there for 5 years because we moved when I was 10. Ashley was 3. And I remember in that house, I had chicken pox, and my mom put Ashley around me on purpose so she can get the chicken pox at the same time.
She better go to jail now. They did that, yo.
And Ashley was in her.
Are you about to tell the electric show?
No, that's not that house. But I am telling that one. But this one on 2nd Street, Ashley was a baby. Oh Lord, I put my dad doesn't go to jail.
What?
But we had this table. I don't know how to pronounce, like a fold down situation.
Oh, when I was in the seat.
Oh, she was sitting
Dad
in
sat me
that
on the
seat,
table.
Sat her on the table, and then she, Ashley just fall. I don't know if she moved or something, and she just fell face down on the floor, still in the chair.
I forgot about that. That's grimy.
I hollered, yo. I was like, I can't believe it. I'm sorry. It was hilarious to me.
Wow.
But we had so many memories in that house as well.
I only remember the house just a little bit, and I think I remember like the den. And weren't there like a lot of people that were hanging out there or something? Like,
we lived next door to some
a lot of the church people
variety of neighbors.
But a lot of the church people would come and hang out and stuff like that. That's all I remember from that.
Yeah, we had people over the house all the time. And then we moved to where my dad lives now, in New Haven. And gosh, he's been there for over 20 plus years.
Because I was there when I was 3, and I'm turning 30 this year. So it was
27 years they've lived in that house.
Been there.
And there was, of course, memories like crazy.
I remember the first time that we moved in there. I had McDonald's, and that's when they had like the chicken nugget toy. And me and Mommy walked in there. Mommy had some dress, some skirt on with a blazer. And she had like her little afro hairstyle, and she had glasses, and she had a painting in her hand. And the house was empty, and I had my McDonald's, and we were in the house. And I'd never forget that.
The chicken nuggets toy. I don't even know.
It was the chicken. It was a chicken nugget toy. I think it was. Remember, that's when he had the purple dinosaur or whatever. The purple thing.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it was like a purple glob or something like that. But whatever.
The only thing purple Ashley liked at the time, and we couldn't stand it, was
Barney. I love you.
My mother got so tired.
I had the sheets. I had the curtains. I had Barney himself. Now I love SpongeBob.
Gosh.
I'm 30. I don't care.
I wanted to kill that dinosaur. Kill him. Like, I would have went to jail. Anything for her just not to play that song, sing that song. I heard a lot of kids are the same way today with the Peppa Pig or whatever.
All right, I know it's a side note, but I have to talk about it.
No.
Did you ever watch the episode of Peppa Pig when she hung up on her homegirl because she couldn't whistle? Please YouTube that. When I say YouTube that, she said she taught her homegirl how to whistle on the phone, and when she did it, she was pissed, so she hung up. Peppa Pig whistle. Look that thing up on YouTube. Great laugh.
Anyway, that's how much she liked Barney, and my mother couldn't stand it after a while. It would drive her crazy. And anybody knows my mother was super silly. And one memory I have so many memories of her just being silly, just laughing. We were watching an episode of Martin. And Martin was the karate guy that I forgot his name. And he was in a bar, and he was just doing everything. I don't even remember.
What did he say? He's like, who you told you wrong. When he say something like that.
Somebody done told you wrong. Something. My mother was laughing like she was there in the audience, just watching him, like crying, slapping her knee, crying, everything. And I was just like, Mommy. She's like, he's just so stupid.
Yeah.
Cracking up. And then she did the same thing for an episode of the Oscars.
Matt.
Oh,
Damon.
This lady obviously, it was the year I think Billy Crystal was hosting, and the lady obviously had Alzheimer's, and I think he knew she had Alzheimer's, and he asked her to introduce Matt Damon, and she just got this blank look on her face. She was just like, Matt Damon, and my mother, she laughed for a good hour.
Yes.
All over the bedroom.
She was hollering.
On the floor, in the corner.
I remember that.
Crying. And my father was like, Wanda, I can't believe. It was hilarious. Like stomach hurting, crying.
I also remember too, my mom, because I do the same thing now too. She would get dressed like she was going to church. You know, just seeing how her outfit looked, putting like the little things together and stuff like that. It's kind of like a prep outfit, and I do the same exact thing. But mine would get in front of the mirror, and she starts singing, and she's like, making the beats in her mouth and stuff like that. And she'll be all dressed up, got the shoes on, and just like figuring it all out. And I do this same exact thing now. And it's just like, I always remember that. And then too, Mommy, just like Mommy, she liked to be in the bathroom. Not even using the bathroom, just being in the bathroom. Yeah. And I would do the same thing. It's just like, that was like where your peace is. You know what I'm saying? So I honestly have the same thing as Mommy. And like, you could leave me in the bathroom for hours. I don't know. I'll just find stuff to do. I don't know why, but that was just some comfort. But I always remember like Mommy being in the bathroom, and she'll just sing in the bathroom and just hanging in there and stuff like that. I think it was like her peace time away from us. Which is okay.
And coming home from work.
But I was a good child, so.
I don't know about that. But anyway, she started the Christian Women's League at Trinity Temple. And then when my dad started his own ministry, Maranatha Ministries, she did it then. And it just really blossomed into an annual retreat every single year. Went from 1 day to 2 days, and she got some great speakers, and I'm just, because this is a tribute to my mom, I'm just gonna tell the truth. A lot of ways that they're doing retreats now for women, my mother was doing that already. It was very well thought out and planned, and she forced me to stay around her when she did it. She forced me.
Not even just you, but then she would get other women from other churches involved. So I like that, when she would have the meetings at home, at the house and stuff like that.
And even when I didn't want to do it, she would make me stay around. And it really helped me with, now I have my own wedding and event planning business, and the organization and planning skills that I have is really from her training and sleepless nights. And she put up a lot of her own money for that program, and she just wanted it to grow and grow huge, and it did. I think she did like 14 retreats, 14 years maybe.
Really?
I believe so. And she dreamt of having it every year being better and better. And the last one she had, which was in 2010, was at this facility called Dolce.
That was the best hotel.
And that was the best place.
That was the best.
I remember her telling my father when she found it, she's like, Roger, this is the atmosphere that I've always wanted.
It was so nice. I didn't like it, but being older now, I understand. It was honestly like a getaway, because it was just woods and it was nothing to do. And I was like, I don't like this place.
It was a retreat.
But yes, it was really, really nice.
And it's crazy because it's in the shape of a cross. The place is in the shape of a cross. It's very serene, and it's right in Norwalk. It's not called Dolce anymore. I forgot the name of the place. I'll get it. I'll put it in the comments so you all can see it. But it is a great facility. And it was the atmosphere that she wanted. And even the speakers that she ended up getting, she worked her way up, and we had Jackie McCullough, we had Wanda Frazier Parker, we had Tiny Lucas. The last one we had a wonderful speaker, Reverend Cordelia Wallace, which we have just created a great relationship with her. And she didn't even, I believe that's the first time she met my mom. And she ends up speaking at her funeral, and we had church. You know what I mean?
You know what I always thought too, what I always remember, you never leave the earth without doing what you're put on earth for. And I really, 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 really believe that mommy was here. She was put on earth to do the retreats, to help other women. That's what I always hear about, you know, when everyone's like, oh, I miss your mom, or, you know, your mom really helped me and stuff like that, especially her retreats and all that. And I feel like that was what mommy's job was. And they always say you don't leave until you do your job. And I feel like she did her job. And it was just like her time, you know what I'm saying? And that's what keeps me going with knowing that. Because that's what I feel like for myself. I'm like, my job just isn't done. Anybody, whoever's still here, your job isn't done yet. And I feel like her job, she did what she was supposed to do. She helped a lot of women who were first ladies, a lot of women who were, you know, getting married, or, you know, just needed someone to influence them. Not influence them, but like, you know, have someone.
Like their mentor.
Yes, definitely like a mentor, have a mentor. And I feel like that's what she did her job.
And I believe a lot of advice that she did have was just from her own experiences. You know, life wasn't perfect all the time. And that's why I appreciated being in a household where I had both of my parents. We're very fortunate to have that. And, you know,
Thank you.
There were a lot of things they didn't let us see. But as we got older, you know, we saw, you know, everything wasn't great all the time. But at the end of the day, my parents loved each other. You know, they've been together. I was told, my dad can correct us if this is wrong, since they were like 9 and 12, I believe. And just to know that you can be with somebody that long. They were together.
Even they had like girlfriend. She had her boyfriend, and I think he had a girlfriend. It broke up, and then they ended up getting back together and all that stuff like that. So
the stories.
It's very rare that you still have both parents in your household and have been together for that long. Even with breaking up and still getting back together and stuff like that.
Exactly. It was definitely meant to be. And you know, it's good to see, you know, I believe they were couples goals, as they talk about.
They would definitely be couples goals nowadays. Like, you know, people back in the day were like, I think everybody was couple goals back in the day. No matter.
Yeah, lasting relationships back in the day. I don't know what's up with now, but, you know, my parents, when she passed, they celebrated 30 years of marriage that year. So they were together longer than they were apart. You know, and I appreciate the fact that, you know, my mom, she went through a lot, you know, she went through a lot of changes with her body. You know, she definitely has some trials and tribulations at her job, you know, in church, learning how to be a first lady, dealing with people talking about you, because that definitely happened. But you know, she persevered over it. And, you know, she kept God first. You know, I know my sister looked at me when I said that. You know, I'm always stick up for my mom.
I will too.
I'm always stick up for my mom. But she know how to defend herself.
That's
on her own.
How we are now.
You know, we both got some Wanda Wilkins in us. Cause
strong, mom, but you know what? It was never rude. It was always taken in a way of like it was never like on any type of fighting level, but it was like stern and letting you know what it is, and you're gonna respect me at the end of the day. And
she gets that from the great Mildred Moore, her mother, my grandma, my grandparents.
That's our only living set of grandparents that we have.
Right. And that's a lot of wisdom right there. And she's the oldest, so you know, just carried over. And my mom carried herself in a very respectful manner, but you were going to respect her. And if she was teaching you something, she wanted to make sure you learned it, you did it well, and you represented yourself well.
Yes.
And I think a lot of women appreciated that about her. Sometimes it was a little hard for me. I can only speak for myself. You know, there were a couple times I had to tell my mom, like, Mom, please, I just need you just not to be so hard right now. Just like be on my side. And like, it's okay. She's like, Okay, but now's not the time for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I like that's just being a parent, you know.
Right, she was definitely a parent. She's definitely my best friend. I believe she was our biggest cheerleader. It was time for me to go to prom, going shopping for my dress.
She made, you know, I always remember.
What?
Sorry to cut you off, but because you know I was a little chunk back in the day. So but you know I look good. But I remember when I used to go to Helen Grant. I was one of the tallest and biggest girls in my class, and my mother always came through. She made my uniform. So I wore my uniform. I had the green uniform like everybody else, and she made it for me. And I also remember too, when I was a part of Higher Heights, we needed I needed a ball gown or whatever, and mommy ended up making my first ball gown. It was purple, and I think she used like one of those brooches for like in the
Kojic brooches.
Yeah, she used it, and she made my dresses and things like that. And what else? Yeah, that's a good memory. Okay, you go ahead.
Yeah, she was a wonderful seamstress. She went to high school for fashion merchandising, for fashion. And she was a model. My mom was fly, okay? And she was skinny mini. And so after she had me and my sisters, you know.
All right, you can't talk about that. It may not be that, you know. Okay.
I mean, I can only tell you, you know, my dad thinks that my mom liked it, you know, she liked it actually.
Oh, being a little bit thicker?
Yeah, because she was skinny forever.
You gotta ask my mom about that.
But no, she was definitely fly, you know. A lot of women loved how she had all her knit outfits.
Very Kojic way.
Very Kojic first lady. But not too crazy. She won't wear no crazy hats. She wasn't into hats like that.
She had a few.
But you know, it wasn't crazy.
My mom had her own style, and that's the same thing as me too. Like, you know, I feel like we're just mellow and chill, and we like to have our own thing. Especially when you're in fashion and everything, you don't want to look like everybody else. And so that's why you want to stand out. And I feel like that's what she did. She wore pieces that made sure that flattered her body and, you know, just set her apart from everybody else.
And one thing my dad said my mother would spend her money on is her lunch at work, because she did not like leftovers.
Bruh, that is me. One day tops. That's all.
No leftovers for my mom.
Some spaghetti, I'm straight. 2
days.
And
number 2 was getting her hair done.
Oh, me too.
Her hair had to be done, and she was gonna buy her lunch. Now anything else,
that's me. I'm dying. That is me. Yo, that is me.
Anything else, you know, I don't mind leftovers. I guess that's the Roger Wilkins side of me.
Nasty. But go ahead.
Not crazy long though, but yeah, my mother, you know, she had that haircut, and she would keep that thing permed up.
I used to go to the hairdresser. Another memory when Mr. Ralph used to do her hair on
Whaley Avenue.
Yes, on Whaley Avenue
with Henri.
Yes, and Mr. Ralph used to do her hair, and I remember we used to go to his house for him to do her hair too. And she used to take me with her to get her hair done. I remember I used to be dancing and stuff in the hairdresser and all that. So that's definitely a good memory. Or Miss Michelle used to do her hair in the village.
Yes.
I used to go there. Yep.
And she was with me when I got my first perm, and the only person who could do it was Mr. Ralph. Because Mr. Ralph told her, do not let anyone else put a perm in her hair but me. Remember. And I just remember him sticking his hands in it, and he's sticking his hands in the perm and putting it in my hair. And I was looking, I'm like, aren't your fingers burning? Because that's what I heard.
When you do it that long, I mean, probably.
Right. And so yeah, she made sure, you know, and she would always get on me about dressing, and she hated that I didn't like to wear makeup like that.
For real?
I did not. And she was like, Erica, why not? You know, she hated, like, if I went out the house, I got dressed or something, and I would forget my earrings. She gets so mad at me. She'd be like, you're not polished. You got to be polished from head to toe.
Yep. You got to put them earrings right in there.
I said, I don't care if you have some studs on. You need to have something and look
That
finished.
Is me, yo. I do not leave the house without no studs. You better not catch me.
That was, you know, one quality about her. And one other funny thing is, usually what she wore to work on Monday is what she wore the day before on Sunday.
But they knew she was fly.
And her thing was, I don't care. These folks didn't see my outfit on Sunday.
But they thought mommy was so fun. Well, she was, you know what I'm saying? But from wearing your church outfit to work that next day, Like, she wasn't dirty or nothing. It wasn't sweaty and stuff like that. Yeah, she toned too much. But basically, yeah, they loved how my mom dressed. I'm still cool with some of the women that used to work with her at her last job. I remember I used to go up to the office and go see her.
Oh, yeah. Downtown?
Yes.
Yeah,
yep.
definitely.
I used to go to the office, and I'm still cool with some of them on Facebook and things like that. And so they was like...
And she was a Denzel Washington lover.
Yeah.
Because I came to her job for Take Your Sons and Daughter to Work Day. And she had the pictures up at her desk.
Of Denzel.
She had a huge picture of Denzel Washington up there.
But she had pictures of us too.
But my dad was right next to it.
I'm dying.
Oh, but she was Denzel's favorite. And I was so happy because she got to go see Fences on Broadway. Mm-hmm. Right. I think, on Broadway with my dad the same year that she passed. She was able to go see Denzel up close. And I was just really, really happy about that because when I say nobody was a bigger fan of Denzel than my mother. Okay. And just, it was so many memories. I remember she and my dad, for their anniversary that year, they went to Myrtle Beach.
Yes.
And my dad said that the trip was wonderful. She had a great time. And she said the only thing that would have made it even better is if me and Ashley were there.
Yeah. When we went to Disney World, we went to Disney World twice. We always go to Disney World.
We with my best friend Patrice. And we had our Mickey Mouse. We had our Mickey Mouse ears on, and Daddy took us on the teacups, and I got dizzy.
I mean, I was a baby.
Oh gosh, we had a whole lot of fun, a lot of old videos with that. And my mom, speaking of fashion, would have that what's it called?
Fanny pack.
Oh, she's the queen of a fanny pack.
The leather fanny pack.
Black with like 5 pockets in it, 5 zippers on it, everything. Yeah. And we wear it now.
She used to have a lot of change in her bag.
Oh my.
Mad pennies and stuff.
Yes, yo, she
always had change.
And so she would change the pocketbooks, but not take the change out of it.
Yeah.
And it'd be so heavy.
This one, changing that one, changing. But Erica, your bag is heavy now.
But it's not full of change. Anyway, yeah, we have so many memories of my mom. And what I was saying about my mom and dad's relationship, they allowed us to see that it wasn't perfect all the time. She did go through a lot,
health-wise.
Yes, went through a lot health-wise. Unfortunately, my mom had her first heart attack in 2005.
I was in high school. I know that.
And I was in college, and she went to the hospital. She had a headache, a really, really bad headache at work. And I believe it was on one side.
Of her left side, because usually that's what happens. They say on the left side, I believe for women, it hurts over here because, your heart and everything is connected. So she had a headache. And
that allowed me to see that heart attacks in women are different than they are in men. I really learned a lot about that. And I just remember rushing home from school. I went to school in Danbury. And she couldn't believe I was there.
I remember explain what happened that day. So she had the heart attack, and Miss Jackie Bryan.
Yes,
she was like,
they were working together.
Concerned. Yep, and she was concerned, and she was like, she needs to go to the doctor. So I remember me, Dad, and Mommy went to the doctor on Long Wharf, and he was like, you need to bring her to the hospital. That I guess Mommy was having a heart attack. Or it happened already, or she was having it right then and there, and that's when we had to bring her to the hospital.
Yeah, and I wasn't there for that. I just went to the hospital, and I remember seeing her laying on the bed, and they're telling me that they have to put stents in her veins.
I remember that.
And she just couldn't move. She had to lay flat on the bed. I'm just like, wow, this is crazy. And she couldn't believe I was there. I'm like, what you mean? Of course I'm going to come see you, And, she did the best she could afterwards. She did a rehab, all of that.
Losing weight.
Yep, she had lost weight.
But she ended up, having diabetes, getting diabetes, too. Yes,
which actually runs in our family. I don't think she told a whole lot of people about it. She didn't tell my grandparents about it right away. For whatever reason, she never explained to me why she didn't say anything. It could be just knowing my mom and the way that she was. She doesn't want you to worry. So she won't necessarily say anything right away. But she did have diabetes. At first, she didn't have to check her blood. But then it developed even worse to where she had to take insulin.
Yes.
And
I always remember too when Mommy had it, because I think people who take insulin, you have to do it in your stomach, doing your story.
Yeah.
I remember one time she did it, and I guess she did it in a spot that she had did it before or something like that, and she was in so much pain.
Yeah.
I remember that, and I was just like, that is crazy. You know, we never experienced anybody really being sick in our family and stuff like that. And
we're only saying this, I'm only, talking about what she went through, because despite all of that she went through, she still just believed God. She still just kept going. She just, persevered. She's a great role model of what it's like to keep going in spite of your circumstance. And a role model of having people around you that love you, only want the best for you, and we're going to be there for you. You know what I mean?
I feel like we never, we're not perfect, but I just feel like we never went through anything tragic. You know what I'm saying? Or I feel like what was tragic was her passing away was tragic. But life was not bad. I can't sit here and say, oh my gosh, my parents were the worst. I feel like life was good. You know what I'm saying? And they made sure that it was. And if it wasn't, we sure enough didn't know. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's just what parents do. They're supposed to protect you. You know what I'm saying? They make sure that everything was right. My parents, both of my parents, they worked. They made sure that we were good. We had what we had. We were doing well in school and things like that. So, I appreciate both of them, and especially my mom, and raising us the way that we are. We're respectful women. We get that all the time. You guys are so nice, so respectful, and things like that. So I feel like it wasn't like 1,000 trials or tribulations. I feel like it was life, just like everybody else. Same thing. Same exact
right. And a lot of times now, with me being older, life isn't perfect or great all the time. But I found myself asking, okay, what would my mother say right now in this situation? If I told her, if she saw what I was going through, some of the things I'm going through, or whatever, what would she say? What would she say to encourage me? What would she say to be real about me? Like, Erica, look, you need to get it together. You're not doing this right. Or, it's going to be okay. Just keep doing what you're doing. Just imagining what she would say in my life now. As far as I know, I was going to talk about that day that she had passed away. I had gotten off of work, and she had just gotten her hair done. And she called me to see if I can come pick her up, because where she worked, she didn't drive there. She took the bus, so she didn't have to pay for parking, because it was
downtown,
one bus ride away. So of course I was going to come get her. And it was convocation that week for Church of God in Christ First Jurisdiction. And it had been a hard week that week. A lot of stuff went down. But that night, which was that Friday, my dad called my mom before I was, after she got her hair done. She and I had actually went out and got something to eat at a Indian diner. And I just remember what she was eating, because my mom, she had put a lot of salt on her food. And I was just like, I remember she had chicken francaise. And I hope I said it right. And chicken, I just remember sauce and pasta. Yeah. I just remember her putting a lot of salt on it. That's why I remember what she had. And she got a call from my dad. And that night he had bought the wrong suit to wear. Because a bishop was coming to preach, Bishop Drew Sheard. And they had to wear their collars. And I think this shirt he had or whatever, it wasn't the collar shirt. So he asked if she could bring it. And so she was like, yeah, Roger, I'll bring it. And so we finished the food. We got in the car. She's like, I cannot believe that I'm getting ready to walk in this church with a suit. But she's like, hey, it's your father. It's for your father. And no lie, the conversation that we had in the car then, she was like, it's your father. It's your father. She's like, I love his bones. She's like, I love him. She's like, I love his bones. And then she paused for a second. And then she said, if anything happened to your father, y'all would have to medicate me. And I said, I was like, Ma, if anything happened to you, I said, I don't know what we would do. And she didn't say much. I think she started, I don't really know what happened after that, because by that time we had rolled up to the house. And it's funny that you say that about her when she was getting dressed and putting an outfit together, because that night she did exactly that. She had decided to wear what's called a sari from India. My father did a missions trip in India, and he bought her this dress, and it's called a sari. And she's like, I don't know if I want to wear this. Just be real. She's like, I don't know if I want to wear this because I don't feel like wearing this girdle under it. She's like, but I'll do it. And while she's getting dressed, she's like humming a song.
She used to do this thing with her throat, and she's like,
yes, that's what she was doing.
That's all I remember. She's like, and she's playing some song in her head, and she's singing all the parts and stuff like that.
And she's like in the mirror, like just looking and putting her jewelry on and putting her dress on. And so she got dressed. And I don't know why, I was just watching her in the mirror, like she was having fun getting dressed. And then we get in the car, we drive, we get onto Henry Street, and the song Moving Forward by Israel Houghton is on. And when I say, closer we got to that church, she was just singing that song like she was on the record and singing about moving forward. And I just remember that, like, man, mommy is going in with this song. She's singing this song like this, but she was just going in with it. And I was dropping her off, running home to go change. So when she got out the car, she got his suit. And I was like, Ma, I'll be right back. She's like, okay. She's like, I'll see you when you get back.
When were you there when I would talk to her on the phone?
Yes. Now,
let me say. So I was with my god sister, and we had went out to eat, and I did not want to go to church.
Did not want to come.
Like, we went to church all week, and I did not want to go. And so I think either I called her or she called me, and she was like, Ashley, I don't ask you to do a lot, but just come to church. Just come to church. And so I hung up. I was like, oh, my parents do not let me do anything. I was just so mad. And so we went out to eat, but I was going to be a little bit late for church, and I brought changing clothes with me. So I ended up going.
She made a comment to me too about that. She's like, see, Ashley thinks she's slick.
Yeah.
That's what she said. She said, Ashley thinks she's slick and not going to come to church.
Yeah.
Like, I talked to her and told her she need to come to church tonight.
Yes. And I remember that and I brought changing clothes, so I had to change at her house before I went to church.
Right.
Or whatever, yes. Because I have my own car. So we galloping and whatever. We went out to eat and stuff. So I was hanging.
Yeah, she made that comment. Ashley thinks she's slick. So I take her to church, and I was like, Mom, I'll see you in a few minutes. I said, I'll be right back. And she said, okay, girly. That's what she would call me. So she went in church. I came back. I went home, changed my clothes, because I came straight from work. Changed my clothes, came back to church. I was sitting in the very last row because the church was packed that night.
It was
Trinity
Friday night.
Temple was packed from everywhere.
But during convocation, it was always that Friday night, because if you missed church all week, you was there Friday. And Friday, if you did every other, you did Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Everybody was there Friday.
Had a very, a big speaker that was coming, Bishop Sheard. So he's very well known, drew a lot of people, and church was packed that night. So I'm literally, the seat that was left when I got there was in the very last row. My mom was 2 rows in front of me. And that night the topic was, if you can get through this, you can get through that. I remember because my mother looked at my father. Now, we're all the way in the back of Trinity Temple, okay? She looked at my father, who's standing all the way in the front of the church in the pulpit area. When he said when Bishop Shear said the topic, my parents caught eyes that far away from each other, pointed at each other, and was like, yeah, like yes. And Bishop, he preached that night, and my mother went for broke, shouting, giving it all.
Yeah. Wasn't she shouting with Sister Stephanie?
She shouted with Sister Stephanie Townsend, who was the one who actually got her saved.
No, Mommy got Sister Stephanie saved.
I thought it was the other way around.
No, Mommy got Sister Stephanie saved. Sister Stephanie tells us if we're wrong, but I believe that, no, it was. You know why? Because Sister Stephanie said when she was shouting with Mommy, she felt like she was giving her to God or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so that's what it was. Mommy brought Sister Stephanie Townsend, I believe, to church. Quote me if I'm wrong, but let me know. Whatever. So.
Either way, it was some salvation in there. And they were shouting, Mommy was going for broke, Now, she had finished out, and then church was high at this point. It was at such a high point. And I just remember Bishop just like going for broke, like Bishop Sheard. My mom finished out with Sister Stephanie. She sat down for a second, and then he said something else, and she got up and went for broke again, like went in. Now, I hadn't seen my mom shout like that in a minute. That's what I kept saying. I was like, whoo, she going for it. I was getting ready to go over there and shout with her. I was like, nah, I'm going to just let her get hers. I'm going to let her get hers. She's going in. The next thing you know, she finishes and she sits down.
Did she put her hands up or something? They said?
Well, not yet. She had sat down, and it's hot. It was hot in there. I turn behind me, and then I turn back and I see she's sitting down now, and she's kind of hunched over. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm not thinking anything's wrong. I'm thinking my mom was winded because she went in. And
then she, like, with being sick too.
Exactly. I think if she's winded, she's hot.
Yeah, and during that time, like, thinking we had diabetes, sometimes your sugar gets low, different stuff like that too.
And so I turned around again and I asked the usher for some tissue. Because, I was like, she's hot, she's probably sweating. I asked the usher for some tissue. The usher was like, what'd you say? I said, that's some tissue. I turned back around, and now my dad is standing there. I'm like, wait, well, my dad was just all the way in front of the church. Why is he over here with my mother? Then that's when I see, something. She was leaning over. Miss Stephanie had pushed her back up, but then she went back down. And I'm like, what's happening? Like, why is my father over here? Now, Ashley's not here at church yet. Then I was like, all right, I'm going to go see what's wrong. I don't know anything has happened yet. I get out of my seat and I go over to my mom and I look in her face, and I already knew she was gone then. Because the look on her face was the same as when my Uncle John passed away. He passed away in January 2009. And she had the same exact look on her face. And I knew what it was because when I saw my Uncle John, I called my father and I said, he doesn't even look like he's here anymore. So then when I saw that face, I absolutely lost it. I lost it in church. I ran all the way to the front of the church. And by this time, Bishop Sheard was preaching so hard that I remember him sounding like this lion, sounding like a roaring lion. And when I ran down the aisle, the whole church was just like in worship. That's just what I remember. It was like it was like big, like it was huge. And the whole room was just full. That's what I remember. It was just full. And I don't know if anyone knew that it was a problem at this point unless you were sitting back there.
Because everybody was too much into worship and stuff like that.
And I ran to the front of the church and I just kept screaming to Bishop. I said, she's not breathing. She's not breathing. He didn't stop yet. And I was grabbing him. I was like, she's not breathing. She's not breathing. And he was like, what did you say? I said, she's not breathing. She's not breathing. And he got down from pulpit in the middle of preaching. I remember the powers are playing. Bishop Sheard's son is playing the drums, and everyone is just in this high worship. And he goes all the way down the middle aisle. I believe he goes over to her. I'm told now that they are now working on her.
She was was she laying down?
She was laying down from what I'm told, because now the whole middle aisle is full.
Now this is when I came to church. This is when
she comes to church.
And so I finally got to church, and Aunt Shirley was outside. And I was like, I said, they must have been having good church. Because, Aunt Shirley fanning. I said, church must be good. Aunt Shirley outside. And so I said, she probably hot or whatever. And so I get up there. She was like, Ashley, something's wrong with your mom. She's not feeling well. And I was like, okay. The first thing went through my mind was like, her diabetes is probably bothering her. Her sugar's probably low. So I walk in, and I don't know why I walked in the middle instead of going to find a seat or something. But all these people were standing. It was just everybody standing right here at the end of, if you were in the front, it was only at the end. And when you first walked in, that's where everybody was standing. And something made me, I don't know what told me to go up and look. And I'm looking down on the floor like this, and all I see is mommy's legs, daddy holding her hand down there, and all these bishops and everything, or everyone was down there with her. I couldn't see the top of her. I just saw the bottom of her. And it was all these people over there. I said, what is going on? What is going on? And I don't know what happened, but somebody took me out. Mm-hmm. And I remember T was with me and Nisi, and they were like, oh, it's okay, it's gonna be all right. They don't know what's happening. I said, what is going on? And I was like, where is my sister? And then we finally got together.
Yeah, I was all the way in the front of the church, mm-hmm. because the whole middle aisle filled up with people, and they would not let me go back, mm-hmm. to my mother. And by this time I'm like distraught. I'm literally screaming to everyone, mm-hmm. asking, is she breathing?
Yeah.
And nobody would say anything.
Yeah.
Like nobody. I remember I grabbed my cousin's face and I screamed in her face. I said, is she breathing? Nothing. No answer. No nothing. I'm just like, no one's saying anything. Mm-hmm. And then finally, I was able to meet up with Ashley. And I remember by this time, I believe my mom was in the ambulance.
They had turned me around, so I couldn't even see when they brought her out or anything like that. And I remember Dad was going down the steps. He had came down. He was by the door, and you was like, is she breathing?
Yeah, he was in the. He was going in the
ambulance.
He was sitting in the ambulance front seat, and I just ran. I screamed at the top of my lungs. I said, "Is she breathing?" And he wouldn't
just
answer.
Like this. Dad just said like this. That's what I remember. And because he didn't know what to say. He was just
crying, and I'm just like, somebody say something. And Pastor Gilbert Ginyard.
I just wrote him today on Facebook saying that I remember he brought us to the hospital.
And I'm told he was driving so fast. I don't even remember.
I remember we was out. We were gone. I remember that. All I remember was swing, mm-hmm. and we was at the hospital.
And we were at the hospital. We get to the hospital. Mm-hmm. My cell phone is practically almost dying at this point. But I had to call my family. Yes. I had to call my family.
Remember that week too. Felicia came. It was just so crazy how everybody came up. My uncle was at the house. My Aunt Felicia and her husband and my cousins, they all were there.
Yeah, from Georgia.
They just all happened to come and be at the house the same week during convocation.
They were supposed to leave to go back out of town that next day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to call my family.
Yep, and me too.
And let them know that mommy's in the hospital,
mm-hmm.
but, we're not thinking she's going to die.
Mm-hmm. I didn't want to go back. When they asked you guys to go back there, I couldn't go back there.
The emergency room at the time was completely packed. It seemed like all of Trinity Temple was at the hospital. Yeah. To the point where the people who were working the door, they didn't even ask who we were anymore. Mm-hmm. If you came in dressed, they already knew where you were going. Mm-hmm. And the whole back area was full. We hadn't heard anything yet. I'm calling my family.
I had to go to the front. I had to go outside.
Yeah, I was outside too because I wasn't getting reception. Our phones were whacked back then.
But I just had to go out. I don't know why I was outside.
It was just, I knew I had to call. I knew I had to call family and just let them know what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
The area where we were was also the same area where they took us when they told us my Uncle John was sick and they don't think he was going to make it. Mm-hmm. So they bring us in the exact same area. And then I'm told that my Auntie Ernie was in the emergency room when they were working on Mommy. Really? And it just so happens that night, almost everybody that we knew that worked at the hospital was working that night.
Mm-hmm.
Almost
Brent,
everybody. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Brent actually let me, my uncle's best friend, Brent, he let us charge my phone and everything like that in the car. But the person in charge of emergency that night was actually a friend of Daddy's. Mm-hmm. And what I'm told is that he came and got my father and informed him, Roger, your wife is dying. You need to come and say goodbye.
And I didn't go. They called y'all back there. See, I didn't know about that.
I didn't go in the emergency room. My dad was in there with my Auntie Ernie. And he was there with
You
her.
didn't go in there? I thought they said both of you had to go.
I was on my way in there.
Oh, because I didn't go. I said I'm not going there. I'm going out there to call people. And I think I called Aunt Felicia or Grandma. One of them.
It was Aunt Felicia because I called Grandma. Because I'll never forget the fact that I had to tell her that. But
that was the first thing I was thinking.
I was standing in the hallway, and a friend of mine from high school, his name was Vincent, he was standing in the hallway when they told me she died. And I was in complete shock.
They told me when I was outside. I forgot who told me, but I remember seeing Boom and Aaron and Mish. We were all out there, and they told me, and I just dropped down to my knees. I was just like...
Yeah, and I came out in the waiting room, and I just screamed, she died.
Yeah. You were like, she's dead, she's dead. I remember that. You was like, she's dead, she's dead. And I was just like, this is crazy.
And they took us in the room.
But you know what? The first thing that I thought with that whole thing was, I was thinking about, you know, they just told me that my mother passed, but then I was just like, I gotta tell my grandmother her daughter passed away. Yeah, like that's the first thing I was like, I gotta tell her daughter passed. Like that. To me, that's always, you know, foreign, because it just goes, whoever was hurt first, you know, they end up passing away, and then, you know, the children, you know, we never want to think about death, but usually that's how it goes. I was like, I got to tell her that her daughter died. Right. And that was the first thing I thought. I just couldn't believe I had to do that.
And I unfortunately had to make that call. Which was super hard. I don't even remember how I made that call, when I made the call, what happened before or after that. I just remember they took us into a room, and I literally couldn't breathe. I couldn't breathe.
I was in shock.
I stopped breathing. I stopped. Like, it was a whole few minutes. I don't even know what happened. All I know is that the nurse who went to our church, who was there with us, she's just shaking me.
Yeah, somebody was slapping you, because it was like, you know, trying to figure out what was going on, because you were just sitting there like...
I was gone. I just couldn't believe it. And there were so many people there that they took her body and they put her in our own area, put her in the hallway. You
know, I had to use the bathroom right when they told me that. And I went in the bath. Now, they just told me my mother passed away. And I'm going to go in the bathroom. I'm like, this bathroom dirty. I don't want to use this bathroom. And I said that. And so they brought me to the bathroom right where Mommy was. But I didn't know that. I couldn't see that was Mommy or whatever. And so I had to go to that bathroom. And
I just couldn't. We just cried. And I just remember my dad, he was just done. He was surrounded by his friends that were there. So many of my friends were there. Yeah.
My friends, everybody. It was written online. That's how my friends from college found out.
Yeah, but there that night, it was so many of our friends just there. And then when we found out, it was like, what do we do? We're just standing here. And I remember I finally got up enough nerve to go to her.
Yes, same for me.
And I just laid my head on her chest. Yeah. She was already cold. Yeah. I laid my head on her chest, and I just prayed so hard. I was like, just please beat. I just wanted her heart to beat one time. And it didn't, obviously, but I was just like in total shock. Like, I just had dinner with her a few hours ago, and now she's gone. She was just singing in my car, and now she's gone. We just had a conversation about if something happened to you, we don't know what we do, and now you're gone. And
I was nervous. I didn't even want to go see Mommy. I didn't want to see her because, you know, nobody's ever experienced death or even a body or anything like that. And I was like,
And no shade. I was literally thinking, like, this has not happened to us.
Yeah, and then too, I was like, Ashley, this is the last time you're going to see your mother. That's what made me go in there. Because I said, this is going to be the last time that I'm going to see my mother.
Right, and when I say this doesn't happen to us, it's not to be like mean or anything.
Like I said
but
earlier,
we're just so used to it happening to other people, and then we're going to them and making sure they have food and all of that because that's what we did. And I'm like, this is happening to us now.
Like I said, like we didn't have a lot of tragic, you know, dealt with anything that was tragic. Like
besides
my mother passing was the tragedy, you know.
Right. And for me, you know, our Uncle John had died the year before, and that was gut-wrenching.
Yes.
Okay, because it was just so out of left field. And so now this is happening, and of course it's like our parent, you know what I mean? And that whole week afterwards is just like a blur. All the days just ran into each other.
Everyone's at the house.
I remember just laying in her bed, and I just wanted to smell her. I just wanted to smell.
Remember, we had to go home. Like, pillow. I remember we driving back home after all
Joe
that.
Pullen drove us home.
Yes, I remember.
And
that.
I couldn't even get out the car.
Yep, I remember that.
And he told me, he's like, you don't have to get out if you don't want to. And I just went upstairs in her room, and I just laid in her bed, and I just cried. I just cried on the pillow because I wanted to know. I just wanted to smell her. You know what I mean? And I just remember that feeling like, dang, my mom is gone. And there's no feeling like that. There's no feeling like that ever. And I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do now. I don't know. I'm only 27 years old at this time.
I was about to be 20. I was 19 years old.
27 years old. And I'm just like, my mom is gone. Like, she's supposed to be here. She's supposed to be here for when I get married, when I have kids. Like, how am I going to know how to be a mom if my mom is not here? You know what I mean? And those are all the thoughts in my head. And then, like I said, the week just went. The week, it was just so many people in the house. I don't even remember half the people that came.
Yeah, same.
I remember my friend Chip came. I do remember Chip coming. And Sister Michelle Pullen. Sister Michelle Pullen was just like so helpful. And she just made sure we were good and we have food and everything. And like, I was just so thankful for that and so thankful for everyone that came over. But honestly, I don't remember half the people that were there. And then comes the day. Oh, and I do remember Heather Pullen. She helped me so much. She got me my outfit to wear. And it didn't fit at first. She went out and got me another one. And I just remembered that, like, wow. Like, someone did that for me. You know what I mean? At my lowest point. And I've always been very thankful about that. And the funeral, we had so much family and
friends. It was just everybody. People, even my friends from college, if they couldn't stay there for the funeral, a lot of people came to the wake. A lot of people, remember, didn't we do like 3 different nights?
Yep, 2 nights. We had one. We had one at night. We had like real old time church.
It was like a musical or so.
Yep.
Or something like that.
And even planning the funeral, I couldn't believe I was doing that. I couldn't believe I was sitting there having to pick out a casket for my mother. But I will say, even in that, she taught me something. She had her stuff in order. Okay? She had her stuff in order, and I will never forget that. I'm like, man, mommy had everything together. It was nothing hard about doing all of the work stuff for the funeral, even though it was a very hard situation. But, you know, dealing with Howard K. Hill, it just made it so much easier. And I'm very thankful for that. And that they were just very warm with us and just helped us out every step of the way. Because I'm doing something I never thought I would have to do. Even though I knew it was something, but not now. Not at that point in my life that I think I would have to do that. But at the funeral, it was packed full of people.
From front to back
and
I
was just like,
stand,
what?
Everything.
Not that I should have been surprised, but it's just like an overwhelming amount of love that day. And even after that, you know what I mean? My best friend Stefan stepped up with the choir. All of my musician friends, and I didn't realize it until later, because we actually recorded it. And I went back and I watched it sometime later, and I looked over in that musician area, and I was like, I couldn't believe how many of my friends were there. I remember Dion sang, my group sang, and I was just so thankful for that. It just made me cry. And I believe that service ended up being the way it was supposed to be. If you were to look at the program, the way my father set it up, because of what my mom represented, he allowed all the women to speak first. And the last female speaker, and we were set up to have men speak afterwards, but the last female speaker was Pastor Cordelia Wallace, who had just spoken at the retreat and was wonderful. She gets up to speak, and next thing you know, we had some of the best church ever at a funeral, to the point where there was no need for anything else. There was no need for anything else. And that just stood out to me, because I'm just like, that's what my mom did for women. You know what I mean? With the retreat, with the moment in his presence, that services that she had. And look at how everything just flowed. No shade to anyone else that was supposed to speak afterwards, but Bishop Bordeaux, he said it. He's like, it's time for the word. And then, you know, my Uncle Sterling, Bishop Sterling Davis, he preached wonderfully. He sent my mom to heaven wonderfully right after Pastor Wallace, and we shouted and we celebrated her. And then it was time for us to have words.
I don't even remember what I said.
I don't even know how I walked up there, honestly.
I remember crying up there. I remember that.
Yeah, and I just know that I walked up there, and I felt like, I've told the story to some people before, I felt like I was floating. I didn't feel like I was standing on firm ground. That whole
thing, everything that happened felt like a dream. Literally from when it started, and I guess until it ended or so, but
yes,
during everything, it feels like a dream.
Right, and I was up there, and I'm just like, I don't know what I'm standing on. But I just felt like I was floating. You know, I got up there and I sang a favorite song. But I asked my dad later, I said, Dad, what was that feeling? Why did it feel like I was floating? And he told me, he's like, because you're standing on the prayers of people praying for you. I was like, wow.
That's the truth. Even now. Because that's the only way that we got through this whole situation.
Absolutely. After that, I understood the power. I understood the power of prayer. Because that really, you know, a lot of things got me through it, but prayer being the main thing,
yes,
being prayerful.
Yes.
And again, Mom was teaching me even then. And it was just a wonderful homegoing service. For her. I will admit a lot of it was a blur, unless I go back and watch the DVD.
I haven't watched it.
But it was a great outpouring of love, and the love shown to us was just something I'll absolutely never forget.
Yes.
And I'm truly, truly thankful. I know some thank you cards were sent out. I don't know if all of them were, because it was so many. But I wanted to make sure I mentioned it, said thank you to everyone for everything you all did for us, no matter what it was,
yes,
big or small,
yes,
whatever. Yes. Truly, truly thankful for it. And I will let you know, it's not an easy process to you know, move forward.
It's not. I have days where I'm just like, I wish my mom is here.
Right.
Because like, even sometimes just seeing like girls with their mom shopping, I'd be like, dang, I can't do that or whatever. And
I'm actually gonna have another I'm gonna do another video, just, you know, talking about my process with grief, because, you know, I honestly believe God works in wonderful ways, not even and mysterious, because before my mom passed away, she had just done a program at church about the stages of grief a few months before, and now here I am, I have to experience what she was teaching us right beforehand. You know what I mean? So I'll explain that, you know, I'll just, you know, I'm no expert. I just know what, you know, I went through with my process of grief and grieving the loss of my mom, but then overcoming it as well. So that's something we could talk about. But, you know, prayer is definitely the number one thing that has gotten me through it.
My father.
Yeah. My father is just like... I know
that's his love at the end of the day. And it's nobody.
My dad is a rock. He's our rock. And we just want him. I love my dad. Like,
I wish he could be back to be here for him. Forget us for him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because that's his love. And now being older and understanding of being with somebody and being in love and being, I ain't saying I'm in love. No, I am in love a little bit or whatever. But just like, you know, just love in general and being with somebody and stuff like that. I understand needing that companionship. Especially, they're more than just husband and wife. They were friends.
Mm-hmm.
Friends. I have learned, like, you gotta be friends. You gotta have a friend. And his friend is no longer here. So it's difficult for us all in our own individual ways, you know, and we are getting through it still. It might be 10 years later, but it's still...
It's a process.
You never get over somebody dying, but it's like you find ways to cope with it because you have to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, you have to cope with it. But yeah, it definitely is the prayers from people. Even I hope they're still praying for us, you know. And thank you to the ones who have prayed for us, who have helped us through this journey. It definitely is a journey, and it has just made us stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Stronger people and stronger women, and we're just grateful to have had her here and experienced our mother, and you know, having her as an example and having her as our mother. At the end of the day, we could have had somebody, you know, whoever, but we got the one that we got, and to me, she was the best. That's my girl. And
it's our homie. And we love her like crazy. There's nobody like Wanda Lee Moore Wilkins. Moore being her maiden name, but she's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful woman. We miss her like crazy. We're gonna always love her. I'm gonna always be her girly. And you know, I'm gonna keep on singing just like her because she had a great voice. Even though I get my range from my father. Daddy can sing high. But, you know, she's a wonderful role model. I'll absolutely never, ever forget her. I see her every time I look in the mirror. And she was great. Yeah, we just wanted to just love on her. I can't believe it's been 10 years. It does not feel like 10 years at all.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
It does not feel like 10 years at all. But that's our mommy. And we love her and we miss her. She's beautiful. I went to where we laid her, but we know that she's not there. We know exactly.
For no type of doubt at all, I know my mother's in heaven.
I know it.
I know that for sure. And you know what, too? You know, they say the old, like, wise tale. You know, people go to heaven when it rained during their funeral. And it rained that day. So my mother went to heaven. I don't care. But even if it didn't rain that day, my mother went to heaven. I know that for a fact. Yeah. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, my mom.
For a fact.
My mom is there. And I will be seeing her again.
Yes.
Up there. I even asked my dad. I was like, and I don't know if he was giving me a dad answer or what, but I asked him, I was like, but like a parent answer, you know what I mean? Some things, you just do with your kid. And I asked my father, I was like, Dad, is she going to remember me? Is she going to remember me as her daughter when we get there? And he said, yep, she will. She'll know exactly who you are. And I don't even care if it's a dad answer. Thank you for that answer. Because, I can't wait to see God. I can't wait to see God.
Yes.
I can't wait to see my mama. And just love her and kiss her. Because that's what I miss.
Yes.
I miss that. I miss the fact that there were times where I wouldn't even say anything.
She just know it.
She just know.
That's what I miss too. That just like, I have learned a lot with not having mommy here and understanding the importance of a mother. There's an importance of a father, but there is definitely importance of a mother. And with just that example right there, sometimes, you know, with growing up, you don't know how to explain what's going on with you. But she just knows it. You know, your mother just knows, like, something's wrong, something's going on, or talk to me, because she knows her child at the end of the day. And so this has just pushed me to know, like, you know, when I become a mother, whenever that is, basically, you know, I'm just gonna know. Don't do that face. I'm not pregnant. No, I'm not. I don't have no children.
I didn't say she had. Did I say she had kids?
Give me like a year and a half, 2 years, 35 tops. I'm turning 30. So, but yes. So, just importance of being. I just want to be, you know, having a mother. The importance of having a mother, being in a child's life, being that woman in that child's life, being a woman too. That's the other thing too. And I think my aunts, they can't replace my mother, but they definitely have helped us become the women that we are now too, because of just supporting us and talking to us and letting us vent and letting us cry and letting us talk to them, laugh, and teaching us different things. So those to us are our mother, you know, and they have taken on that role for us. And I'm grateful for that I have my aunties around. I'm grateful that I have family around. I'm grateful for my whole family. We all, you know, we all deal with it. I know, like, Uncle Philip, Uncle Zaire, Grandma, Grandpa, you know what I'm saying? We may not all talk about it all the time, but I know that it has affected us very gratefully, and we just are thankful for just everyone whoever that is there supporting us and helping us through this process. Because it's never going to stop. Ever, 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 ever.
Right. Well, I know that we will never, and we're going to end, but I know that we will never, ever stop missing her. And we're going to always love her. Always speak well of her. And, you know, I just thank God for the time that she was here with us. Do I wish she was here longer? Absolutely.
Yes. But you know what? I said she's not suffering anymore.
Right. She's not sick
anymore. She's not suffering anymore.
She don't have to take those pills anymore because of her
She don't got to worry about the mess that's going on the earth.
Thank you. No corona. No nothing. Okay? And we're trying to get to where she is. And so, you know, we're just going to, you know, just love her, remember her in a great way. Tell everybody about her. You know, it brings a smile to my face sometimes just thinking about her. And, you know, we just wanted to take some time. We did take an hour, but it's okay. We wanted to take some time and just, you know, do a little tribute to my mom. And, you know, I wanted to really do something this year. I really wanted to do the retreat this year. However, you know, things, you know, don't always go the way you plan. That just means it's going to be even better when it's time to do it. So prayerfully next year, ladies, be on the lookout for the Christian Women's League retreat, reboot. And we're just going to follow in the great footsteps of my mom in the seeds that she planted, because we're going to make this grow. We've been taught well, come from good stock, you know, and we're going to make sure that her legacy is carried on further than her. And we thank you all for listening. Let us know if you want us to do something else. You know, if you want us to do another video. Don't give me the side eye, Ashley.
Follow me on Instagram. Ashing_out. Fashion model.
OMG. And if you'd like to follow me, my name is Aries World, ERIS World. I don't have any hashtags underscores in my name, just ERIS World. But honestly though, let us know if you like this, if you want us to do this again. Like I said, I'm gonna you know, talk about my process, my grieving process, and what has helped me move forward. And let me know if there's something that you all are interested in. Like I said, I'm no expert, but I just know what my process was. And you know, it is definitely going through those stages of grief. But we thank you all so much for listening, taking the time to listen. I know it's a little long, but we love our mom.
That's enough for you too. That's enough for you too. And we can be as long as we want to.
Well, thank you if you made it all the way to the end of this video. We will see you all later. I'm Erica.
I'm Ashley.
Bye.